Thank you for joining us and welcome to the launch of Black Britain's Mandate, the voice of Black Britain holding the government to account. Hello, my name is Timi Okuwa. I'm the CEO of the Black Equity Organisation. BEO is a national civil rights organisation for Black people in the UK. We exist to dismantle systemic racism and promote economic, social, legal and political equity for Black communities. Our mission is rooted in empowering Black talent, enterprise and greatness in Britain. Through our work, we strive to ensure that Black people can achieve self-determination and prosperity in a society free from racial discrimination.
Hi, my name is Athian Akec. I'm the young trustee for BEO. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm a 22-year-old activist and student from Camden in northwest London. My role as the young trustee is to support Timi and the wider organisation in the great work they're doing around racial equality and to provide the perspective of young people from the ground and to articulate our hopes and fears and to ensure that the vision of this organisation matches up with what's happening with young people on the ground.
The mandate comes at a critical juncture, with a newly elected government and 60 years since the first Race Relations Act. We're still witnessing persistent and in some areas worsening racial inequalities, particularly for Black communities in Britain. From the underpayment of Black graduates to the disproportionate levels of child poverty in Black households, it is clear that systemic racism still holds Black people back and by extension society. We cannot wait for incremental change. We need radical structural transformation to move towards both race equity and racial justice. So let's look at some of the data. Black children are more likely to be excluded from schools. Black graduates are paid less than their white counterparts, despite having the same qualifications. And more than half of Black children live in poverty compared to just 24% of their white British counterparts. Black entrepreneurs experience less investment, just 1% of total investment, lower access to finance, and a quarter make no profit. Data shows a high proportion of Black African workers in roles that they're overqualified for. Black children miss out on early years learning. The lack of diversity and retention of Black staff in the early years workforce continues to raise concerns. Black Caribbean boys are around 6 times more likely to be excluded than their white peers in some boroughs and 3 times more likely to be excluded than their peers on average. Black teachers, they account for just 2.4% of teachers across all schools. Over a third of Black communities live in private rental housing compared to 16% of their white British counterparts. This means that Black households are more vulnerable to rogue landlords and evictions than other groups. The regulation of discriminatory and racist language in the media lacks accountability, with just 1 complaint out of more than 8,000 on discrimination grounds being upheld by the independent press standards organisations. These facts are alarming, and they paint a picture of systemic inequities that we can no longer ignore. This is why the mandate is so important.
This is a time of rising far-right extremism, as evidenced by the hate crimes and riots we've seen in towns and cities across the country. Black communities are being targeted alongside other minority groups, and it is crucial that the new government sends a strong message that this racism will not be tolerated. This mandate sets the tone for how we can collectively address these issues and ensure that Black voices are at the forefront of change.
This mandate is not just a document created by BEO. It is a result of engagement with Black British communities across the UK. We've worked with local race equality and social justice organisations in Scotland, in Birmingham, Manchester, London and Wales. We held 19 events with over 480 attendees in person, 470 people online. We made sure to centre the voices of young adults with a focus on intersectionality. This included events led by our trustee Michelle Daly and Lady Phil, with a focus on Black disability justice and UK Black pride. This is truly a mandate that reflects the collective aspirations of Black Britons from all walks of life.
As a young trustee, I've seen firsthand how black youth have contributed to shaping this mandate. From economic empowerment to education and health equity, young people are driving the call for change. This mandate gives them a platform to hold the government to account for a future that reflects their potential and ambitions.
The mandate outlines demands across 6 key policy areas: economic empowerment, education, health, justice, immigration and rights, housing, culture, awareness and representation. And we're asking for clear, accountable mechanisms to ensure that the government doesn't just pay lip service to race equality, but takes meaningful action. This includes the appointment of a cabinet minister specifically responsible for race equality, mandatory reporting of ethnicity pay gaps, stronger enforcement of the public sector equality duty, and a race equity strategy, which should be at the heart of government. Accountability is also about transparency, whether it's publishing disaggregated data or ensuring the Equality and Human Rights Commission has the resources to enforce these laws. The cross-government race equity strategy must adhere to anti-racist and anti-black principles, including but not limited to using data and evidence and the power of the law to hold the powerful to account and to influence policy, adopting an approach informed by historic and current trauma experienced by black people, building greater awareness and understanding of what structural racism is, and facilitate strong alliances among communities and policymakers.
The inclusion of an anti-racism pledge is also crucial. We are demanding that the government publicly acknowledge the existence of structural and systemic racism and to make a formal commitment to dismantling it. This isn't just about empty promises. It's about concrete action, like fully funding the Race Disparity Unit and ensuring that public bodies comply with equality impact assessments. These are the tools that will help us hold the government to account.
Systemic racism doesn't just harm black people, it holds society back as a whole. If we tackle these inequalities, our public services will become more efficient and our economy will be stronger. Everyone benefits from society where opportunity is based on merit, not on racial bias. The mandate is also about social cohesion, about creating a society where all individuals, regardless of their background, can contribute to and benefit from Britain's prosperity.
By addressing these issues, we create a better future not just for black Britons, but for everyone. When black communities thrive, society thrives. This isn't just a race issue, it's a human issue. We need to think beyond race and realize that this is about justice, equity, and fairness for all.
So what else do we want the government to do? We also want them to implement recommendations from previous independent reviews, such as the Lamy Review and the Casey Review. One of our partners, the Action for Race Equality, also issued a Windrush manifesto this year, and we'd like them to follow up on that as well. These reviews already provide a clear roadmap for addressing racial injustices. Additionally, removing harmful policies like the 2-child limit on benefits would immediately alleviate child poverty in black communities. Another immediate step is to fully fund the Race Disparity Unit to track and address racial inequalities across public services. Finally, a demand that all NHS trusts, integrated care boards, maternity and mental health services should embed the NHS England's first ever anti-racism and accountability framework by March 2025. So we're launching this mandate because we're at a turning point where the social and economic gaps facing black communities are widening. Structural racism continues to affect our educational outcomes, our economic opportunities, and even our health and well-being. Our role as an organisation is to ensure that we achieve racial justice for black communities. It is not enough to say that we want equal opportunities. We need to address the structural barriers that prevent those opportunities from being realised in the first place.
Also, the government must prioritise youth engagement by creating targeted programmes for black youth, particularly in education and employment. We need to see more representation in STEM fields and ensure that young black people will have access to the opportunities they deserve. This is not just about policies. It's about ensuring the future is inclusive and equitable for generations to come. This mandate isn't just another report, it's a collective call to action. The why is clear. Systemic racism is a structural barrier that holds back not only black people, but also limits the full potential of our society. The what for is even more pressing. We need to dismantle the policies that perpetuate inequality in education, health, justice, and economic empowerment. We're here to make sure the government understands that addressing these issues isn't just about race, it's about fairness and justice for all.
So we're launching this mandate because we're at a turning point where the social and economic gaps facing black communities are widening. Structural racism continues to affect our educational outcomes, our economic opportunities, and even our health and well-being. Our role as an organisation is to ensure that we achieve racial justice for black communities. It is not enough to say that we want equal opportunities. We need to address the structural barriers that prevent those opportunities from being realised in the first place.
The future ahead isn't just about identifying problems. It's about implementing solutions. Through this mandate, we're advocating for tangible change, such as mandatory ethnic pay gap reporting, stronger enforcement of the public sector equality duty, and increasing representation in leadership across sectors. The future we envision is one where black communities thrive, where opportunities are equal, and where justice is not an aspiration, but a reality. Young black people are at a defining point in our generation's future, between a future of prosperity, possibility, and hope, or one of tragedy, despair, and wasted potential. The Black Britain's mandate is a key stepping stone in bringing into a reality where we have a brighter future for young black people in every corner of our country. Now, more than ever, we need your voice and your support. The government can only be held accountable if we work together to demand action. Here's how you can get involved. Spread the word. Share the Black Britain's mandate on social media, in your communities, and in your workplace. Engage with your MPs. Write to them and insist they take action on the issues outlined in the mandate. Join BEO. Become a part of our growing movement for racial equality and justice. The time for change is now, and it starts with all of us standing together.
The solution is commitment to the task that we're facing. I accept this challenge, and really I'm just asking for patience in the manifesto of our search party. So please read the pages. Our policies focus on social enterprise, fair education, and decent wages. And as long as you want to be courageous, I promise you we're gonna see some changes.